Good morning, students. In the previous lectures, we had discussed about the phylum Coelenterates and its characteristic features. Then we had discussed about the classification of Coelenterates. And in this series, today we will continue with a very important topic, that is polymorphism in Coelenterates. Myself, BALRAM, Assistant Professor in Zoology, Government Dunga College, Bikaner. Polymorphism. Polymorphism is derived from a Greek word. Poly means many and morphe means form. So, polymorphism is the occurrence of several different types of individuals or zooids in a single species during its life cycle or as members of the colony. The members perform different functions so that there is a division of labor amongst the members. Coelenterates are noted for their polymorphism, but the various types are reducible to either polypoid or medusoid type. The polyp and medusa occur in a number of morphological variations. However, if we define polymorphism, we can define it the representation of a single organism by more than one kind of individual or zooids which differ in their form and function. Now we will discuss about the patterns of polymorphism. Different patterns such as monomorphic, which is seen in the hydra, and the polyp reproduces both asexually and sexually. This condition also applies in Anthozoa. The life cycle remains very simple. It may be represented as polyp, egg, polyp. Second pattern is dimorphic form. The most hydrozoans exhibit dimorphism. There is a nutritive polyp or gastrozoid which is sessile. It has a mouth, tentacles, and a cavity for food. The second individual is a medusa, which is a jelly-like saucer shape with tentacles on the margin. It is free-swimming and bears gonads. Alcyconaria have only polyps, but they are dimorphic. A nutritive and reproductive polyp called an autozoid, which has tentacles, gonads, and mesenteries. The other polyp is a siphonozoid with no tentacles or gonads. It only maintains a circulation of water in the canals of the colony. Next is trimorphic. Some hydrozoan colonies are trimorphic. Besides the nutritive polyps and reproductive medusae, they also have modified polyp called gonozoids or blastocysts, often enclosed in a chitinous gonotheca. They have no mouth or tentacles, and they produce medusae or their morphological equivalents by budding. Here, one thing interesting I want to discuss is Siphonphora show the highest degree of polymorphism, which is not found anywhere else in the animal kingdom. They have 3 kinds of polypoid zooids and 4 kinds of medusoid zooids, which will be discussed in the upcoming slide. The polypoid zooids. These are of 3 types. First, gastrozoids, which are tubular or saccular with a mouth, and there may be one tentacle bearing nematocysts. They are used for digestion and ingestion of liquid food. Usually a single long contractile hollow tentacle arises from the base of the gastrozoid, which bears numerous fine lateral contractile branches called tentilla. The tentilla has knob or a coil of nematocysts. Dactylozoids. These are for defense and for obtaining food. They are tubular with no mouth with a long tentacle armed with batteries of nematocysts. Modified dactylozoids are associated with gonophores on gonozoids and are termed gonopalpons. The dactylozoids are also called palpons or feelers. Next is gonozoids. They may be like gastrozoids or they may be branching blastostyles bearing clusters of degenerate male and female medusae which produce germ cells for reproduction. Mostly, the gonozoids take the form of a branched stalk called gonodendron, having tufts of gonophores with gonopalpons. Next is the medusoid zoids. These are of four types. We will discuss one by one. First, pneumatophore is a gas-filled vesicle or bladder which functions as a float and helps in swimming. The pneumatophore is an inverted medusoid devoid of mesoglea, but its walls are muscular and it has glands. It shows great variation in its structure and size in different siphonophores. Next is phylozoids. These are leaf-like bracts or thick and gelatinous medusoids having a canal of the antron. They are protective and shield some zoids of a colony. Next, nectocalyces, also known as nectophores. These are bell-shaped medusoids with a vellum, radial canals and circular canal. They have no mouth, manubrium, tentacles or sense organs. A nectocalyx is muscular and brings about the locomotion of the colony by swimming. It is also referred to as nectophore or nectozoid. Next is gonophores. These occur singly or in clusters on blastostyles. They are degenerate medusae with no mouth, tentacles or sense organs, but they have a vellum, canals and a manubrium which bears gonads. Gonophores are dioecious and produce germ cells for reproduction. Polymorphism and alternation of generations. Polymorphism is no doubt a phenomenon of division of labor. That is, different functions are attributed to different individuals of the polymorphic form rather than to the parts or organs of one individual or zoid. All the members of the colony, whether polypoids or medusoids, are formed from the kinosa. Polymorphism is associated with the life cycle of Coelenterates. With the origin of polymorphism, the reproductive powers of the organisms are divided among the different zoids of the colony. In these cases, the polyp reproduce asexually to give rise to medusoid forms, that is, gonophores, which reproduce sexually to form polyp. The life cycle thus becomes complicated and may be represented as polyp, medusa, egg, planula, polyp. Therefore, the so-called alternation of generations or metagenesis comes into existence, where in fact asexual polypoid generation alternates sexual medusoid generation. Next, what is the significance of polymorphism? The polymorphism is essentially a phenomenon of division of labor in which different functions are performed by the different members or zoids of the colony. That is, polyps are related to feeding and asexual reproduction, while medusae are related to sexual reproduction and so on. Thanks a lot for paying the attention, and in the upcoming lectures we will be discussing more about the phylum Coelenterata. Thanks a lot.